Genesis chapter 16 to 20. Genesis chapter 16. Now Sarah, Abram's wife, bore him no children, and she had a maid, an Egyptian, Hagar by name. And Sarai said unto Abram, Behold, now the Lord hath restrained me from childbearing. I pray thee, go into my maid. It may be that I shall receive a child by her. And Abram obeyed the voice of Sarai. Then Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband Abram for his wife. And he went into Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, her dame was despised in her eyes. Then Sarai said to Abram, Thou dost me wrong. I have given my maid into thy bosom, and she seeth that she hath conceived, and I am despised in her eyes. The Lord judge between me and thee. Then Abram said to Sarai, Behold, thy maid is in thine hand. Thy maid is in thine hand. Do with her as it pleaseth thee. Then Sarai dealt roughly with her, wherefore she fled from her. But the angel of the Lord found her beside a fountain in the way of Shur. And he said, Hagar, Sarai's maid, whence cometh thou, and whither wilt thou go? And she said, I flee from my dame Sarai. Then the angel of the Lord said to her, Return to thy dame, and humble thyself under her hands. Again the angel of the Lord said unto her, I will so greatly increase thy seed, that it shall not be numbered for multitude. Also the angel of the Lord said unto her, See, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, for the Lord hath heard thy tribulation. And he shall be a wild man. His hand shall be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Then she called the name of the Lord that spake unto her, Thou God lookest on me. For she said, Have I not also here looked after him that seeth me? Wherefore the well was called Beer Lahai Roi Lo. It is between Kadesh and Bered. And Hagar bare Abram a son. And Abram called his son's name which Hagar bare Ishmael. And Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bare him Ishmael. Chapter 17. When Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am God all-sufficient. Walk before me, and be thou upright. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and I will multiply thee exceedingly. Then Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, Behold, I make my commandment with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee. Also I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and will make nations of thee. Yea, kings shall proceed of thee. Moreover, I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God unto thee and to thy seed after thee. And I will give thee and thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, even all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Again God said unto Abraham, Thou also shalt keep my commandment, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee, Let every man-child among you be circumcised, that is, ye shall circumcise the foreskin of your flesh, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. And every man-child of 8 years old among you shall be circumcised in your generations as well. He that is born in thine house, and he that is bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thine house, and he that is bought with thy money must needs be circumcised. So my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. But the uncircumcised man-child, in whose flesh the foreskin is not circumcised, even that person shall be cut off from his people, because he hath broken my covenant. Afterward God said unto Abraham, Sarai, thy wife shalt thou not call Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her, and will also give thee a son of her. I will bless her, and she shall be the mother of nations. Kings also of people shall come of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live in thy sight. Then God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as concerning Ishmael, I have heard thee. Lo, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make a great nation of him. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee the next year at this season. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. Then Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that was bought with his money. That is, every man-child among the men of Abraham's house. And he circumcised the foreskin of their flesh, and that self-same day as God had commanded him. Abraham also himself was 90 years old and 9 when the foreskin of his flesh was circumcised. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when the foreskin of his flesh was circumcised. The same day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. And all the men of his house, both born into this house and bought with money of a stranger, were circumcised with him. Chapter 18. Again the Lord appeared unto him in the plain of Mamre, and as he sat in the tent door about the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself to the ground. And he said, Lord, I have found favor in thy sight. Go not, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, he brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, that you may comfort your hearts. Afterward ye shall go your ways, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, do even as thou hast said. Then Abraham made haste into the tent, and Sarah, and said, make ready at once 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran to the beasts, and took a tender and good calf, and gave it to the servant who hasted to make it ready. And he took bread, butter and milk, and the calf which he had prepared, and set it out before them, and stood himself by them under the tree. And they did eat. Then they said unto him, where is Sarah thy wife? And he answered, behold, she is in the tent. And he said, I will certainly come again into thee according to the time of thy life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, and my Lord also, shall I have lust? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah thus laugh, saying, Shall I certainly bear a child, which am old? Shall anything be hard to the Lord? As the time appointed will I return unto thee, even according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, It is not so, for thou laughedest. Afterward the men did rise up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them and to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall be indeed a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will command his sons and his household after him. And they kept the way of the Lord to do righteousness and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that he hath spoken unto him. Then the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is exceedingly grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to that cry which is come unto me. And if not, that I may know. And the men then turned thence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? If there be 50 righteous within the city, wilt thou destroy, not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? Be it far from thee from doing this thing to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should even be as the wicked. Be it far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the world do right? And the Lord answered, If I shall find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Then Abraham answered and said, Behold, now I have begun and speak unto the Lord, and I am but dust and ashes. If there shall lack 5 of 50 righteous, wilt thou destroy all the city for 5? And he said, If I find 5 and 40, I will not destroy it. 45. And he yet spake to him again, and said, What is there shall be found 40 there? Then he answered, I will not do it for 40's sake. Again he said, Let not my Lord be angry that I speak. What if 30 be found there? Then he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Moreover, he said, Behold, now I have begun to speak unto my Lord. What if 20 be found there? And he answered, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. Then he said, Let not my Lord be now angry, and I will speak but this once. What if 10 be found there? And he answered, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went his way, and he left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned into his place. Chapter 19. And in the evening there came 2 angels to Sodom, and Lot sat at the gate of Sodom. And Lot saw them and rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face to the ground. He said, See, my lords, I pray you turn in row into your servant's house, and tarry all night and wash your feet. And ye shall rise up early and go your ways. Who said, Nay, but we will abide in the street all night. And then he pressed upon them earnestly, and they turned into him and came into his house. And he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they went to bed, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round about, from the young even to the old, all the people from the quarters, who crying out to Lot said to them, Where are the men which came to thee this night? Bring them out unto this, that we may know them. Then Lot went out unto the door unto them, and shut the door after them, and said, I pray you, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. Behold, now I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Them will I bring out now unto you, and do them as seemeth you good. Only unto these men do nothing, for therefore are they come under the shadow of my roof. Then they said, Away hence, and they said, He is come alone as a stranger, and shall he judge and rule. We will now deal worse with thee than with them. So they pressed sore upon Lot himself, and came to break the door. But the men put forth their hand and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut to the door. Then they smote the men who were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they were weary in seeking the door. Then the men said unto Lot, Whom hast thou yet here? Either son-in-law, or thy sons, or thy daughters, or whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring it out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is great before the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. Then Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Arise, get ye out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-law as though he had mocked. And when the morning arose, the angel hasted Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be destroyed in the punishment of the city. And as he prolonged the time, the men caught both him and his wife, and his 2 daughters by the hands, the Lord being merciful unto them. And they brought him forth, and set him without the city. And when they brought them out, the angel said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither tarry thou in all the plain. Escape into the mountain, lest thou be destroyed. And Lot said unto them, Not so, I pray thee, my Lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showeth unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape in the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. See now this city hereby to flee into, which is a little one. Oh, let me escape thither, it is not a little one, and my soul shall live. Then he said unto them, Behold, I have received thy request, also concerning this thing, that I will not overthrow this city, for the which thou hast spoken. Hast thee saved thee there, for I can do nothing till thou come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zor. The sun did rise upon the earth when Lot entered into Zor. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom, upon Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and overthrew those cities, and all the plain, and all the inhabitants of the city that grew upon the earth. Now his wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham, rising up early in the morning, went to the place where he had stood before the Lord. And looking toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the plain, behold, he saw the smoke of the land mounting up as the smoke of a furnace. But yet when God destroyed the cities of the plain, but yet when God destroyed the city of the plain, God thought upon Abraham, and sent Lot out from the midst of the destruction, when he overthrew the cities, wherein Lot dwelt. Then Lot went up out of Zor, and dwelt in the mountain with his 2 daughters, for he feared to tarry in Zor, but dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the elder said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, we will make our father drink wine, and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the elder went and lay with her father, and he perceived not, neither when she laid down, neither when she rose up. And on the morrow the elder said to the younger, Behold, yester night lay with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go thou and lie with him, that we may preserve seed of our father. So they made their father drink wine that night also, and the younger arose and lay with him. But he perceived it not when she lay down, neither when she rose up. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child by their father. And the elder bare a son, and she called his name Moab. The same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger bare a son also, she called his name Ben-Ami. The same is the father of the Ammonites unto this day. Afterward Abraham departed thence toward the south country, and dwelled between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said of Sarah his wife, She is my sister. The Abimelech king of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but dead, because of the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. Notwithstanding, Abimelech had not come to near her. And he said, Lord, wilt thou slay even the righteous nation? Said not unto me, She is my sister. And she herself said, He is my brother with an upright mind, and innocent hands have I done this. And God said unto him by a dream, I know that thou didst this even with a upright mind. And I kept thee also that thou shouldest not sin against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Now then deliver the man his wife again, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, that thou mayest live. But if thou deliver her not again, be sure that thou shalt die the death, thou and all that thou hast. Then Abimelech, rising up early in the morning, called his servants unto him. Called his servants and told these things unto them, and the men were sore afraid. Afterward Abimelech called Abraham and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us, and what have I offended thee, that thou hast brought on me, and on my kingdom this great sin? Thou hast done things unto me that ought not be done. So Abimelech said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done this thing? Then Abraham answered, Because I thought thus, Surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. Yet in very deed she is my sister, for she is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother, and she is my wife. Now when God caused me to wander out of my father's house, I said then to her, This is thy kindness, that thou shalt show unto me in all the places where we come. Say thou of me, He is my brother. Then took Abimelech sheep and beeves and men servants and women servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, Behold, my land is before thee. Dwell where it pleaseth thee. Likewise to Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is the veil of eyes to all that are there thee, and to all others. And she was thus reproved. Then Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife and his women servants, and they bare children. For the Lord had shut up every womb of the house of Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife. Okay. I promise it'll get better. It's just a few weeks away before that. Anyway.